entitled, it's dealing with protection of Sankirtan devotees. Of course, the logical question may arise right away in the beginning is, are the Sankirtan devotees under attack? Do they need to be protected from what? So, naturally, every devotee in this material world feels under attack. Under attack of the three modes of material nature, under the attack of the modes of the material nature as such. And since we are supposed to talk specifically about Sankirtan devotees, those they go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, we may address a special type of dangers which they may encounter while doing so. All in all, this material world is a place which is called bhayam, a place full of fear. Because, naturally, if you don't know who you are, and if you are like looking for something which you will never find, you become fearful. Yeah? You don't know who you are, and you are looking for something they don't have. So naturally, you become very fearful, and on top of that, somebody switched off the light. So it's very dark. Prabhupada said that the whole concept of light in this material world is in itself an illusion. It's a dark place. So the only light we receive is actually a light from Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is meant to make people abhayam, fearless. Now how can this be done? This is not a question of just some mental adjustment. You cannot sit down and say, okay, now I am fearless. Fear will be there anyway. First of all, if you sit down and say you are fearless, you will be afraid of somebody who doesn't believe you. So then immediately you will develop the fear, I have to defend my fearlessness. And that's already fear. So a real fearlessness can be experienced. Srila Prabhupada gave us the formula. He said, the best defense is a good offense. This means Srila Prabhupada, right away from the beginning, when we joined this movement, put us in an active role of a preacher. He put us in an active role in Kirtan. He said, the most safe position you can have is in Kirtan, inside. That's the real protection. Then he enlarged the Kirtan. He took the small mridanga into the streets and make it to a big mridanga, his book distribution, which is nothing else as actually a big mridanga. Prabhupada said small mridanga can be heard few houses around the block, but the really brihat mridanga, the big mridanga, the book distribution can be heard all over the planet. And this is a fact. So naturally, Krishna says, the Bhagavad Gita, such a devotee who goes out and plays the big mridanga, takes the risk to distribute Krishna consciousness, he is most dear to me. So, the ultimate protector of this movement, Srila Prabhupada, made it clear to us from the beginning that those they preach and specially distribute books, they will enjoy a special protection. Srila Prabhupada always had a special attention towards the Sankirtan devotees. Even he wrote me personally that devotional service is absolute. Naturally, any humble book distributor will find out soon later that anybody engaged in devotional service is a very special person. When you every day go out and you encounter millions of totally ignorant people, those few who surrender and even try to become Krishna conscious, they are very special. So naturally, as a result of your preaching, you also develop respect to those who actually pick up on your preaching and actually they become more Krishna conscious. Still, there is a differentiation even in a spiritual plane. Prabhupada said those who actually go out and distribute Krishna consciousness to others, specifically in the most lasting form, and that's through his books, they are actually specially dear to Krishna, and they are especially dear to Srila Prabhupada. If you don't believe it, you can try it out. Somebody may say, well, that's what Srila Prabhupada said to his disciples, so many years ago. What about us? No. Personally, I travel around Europe, associating with different kinds of Sankirtan devotees. They do emanate Srila Prabhupada's energy in so many ways. And they have realizations about Srila Prabhupada I get sometimes envious about. Yeah? So one doesn't have to be directly Prabhupada disciple in that sense. Srila Prabhupada is there in the process of book distribution. Anybody distributing books can experience that. Prabhupada said, if a man walks around advertising somebody, naturally that somebody will become very attentive to him. We know from our experience how fond we are of our names. Yeah. Even the glimpse of our name will immediately draw our attention. What? Who's speaking about me? So Krishna is also he is non-different from his name. And he is very grateful somebody is broadcasting the glories of my name. So I will read you an introduction, a very nice letter from Srila Prabhupada. The Srila Prabhupada points this out very clearly. This is from 11th of December 1975. This is written to American Sankirtan devotees. And obviously, Srila Prabhupada was once again entirely ecstatic over Sankirtan. He writes, I read your Sankirtan newsletter with a great relish. Europe and America are in great danger. This Hare Krishna movement is enveloping them. This means wrapping them up. The Sankirtan devotees are very dear to Krishna. Because you are doing the field work of book distribution, Krishna has immediately recognized them as true servants. Just like during a wartime, a farm boy or an ordinary clerk who goes to fight for this country on the front immediately becomes a national hero for his sincere effort. So Krishna immediately recognizes a preacher of Krishna consciousness who takes all risks to deliver his message. It is called Dhiravrata, determination. These boys and girls are Mahatmas. Mahatmas, Tumampartha. O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. This verse is applicable here. If these boys were under material nature, they would not take so much risk. They are Mahatma. They are real Mahatma, not that long beard and saffron cloth Mahatma. They are unswerving in the determination, Dhiravrata. All glories to the American devotees. So, this is actually how Srila Prabhupada appreciated if somebody goes out and distributes his books. So this is all what we want. There's a very deep meaning to this letter. First of all, this letter is speaking about simple boys and girls. Well, let's ask. If somebody thinks he's very sophisticated, he may be rather wrong. From Srila Prabhupada's point of view, we were all very simple boys and girls. And this movement was started by very simple boys and girls. Used to be called hippies. So some of us may think they come from some very elevated academic background. But from spiritual point of view, it's called also simple. You know, some of us are indeed very simple. All these material qualifications, they have nothing to say. Especially once we go in Sankirtan. Sankirtan is not a result of a material qualification. I remember once, I was in Stockholm in Sweden. I was a Tamil president there, and they told me, there is a boy here, he will be a very good book distributor. He knows how to sell vacuum cleaners. He never made it. He never became a book distributor. Because that's not the qualification. And I saw people in the last 35 years coming to this movement in all kinds of shapes. Sometimes very, very deteriorated shapes. We used to have names for that. Like in Germany, we used to have a Bhakta. We called him Bhakta Frankenstein. You know, and things like that. I mean, he looked like that and he acted like that, you know. So we called him like that. He became a very, very nice book distributor. Of course, initially, people just by seeing him, they're running to the other side of the street. But by surrendering more and more and being very sincere, that's the qualification, sincerity. Actually, he became a very reasonable person. He learned even how to smile. He learned how to look people into their eyes when he distributed. He had to learn that. He didn't know how to do that initially. So, there are many examples like that. Actually, we all come from all kinds of shapes, backgrounds. Some of us committed activities which better they don't want to even mention. So, this is all nullified once you surrender to book distribution. Prabhupada very proudly quoted always this American priest who always asked, or the people asked the devotees on the street, "Are you Americans? Are you still Americans?" Because they couldn't imagine such a happy, shiny, you know, bright-looking American. There was even in New York, I heard, actually, there was even in the police station, there was an announcement, if you want to find the Hare Krishnas on the street, you just look for the shiny, smiling people. That's them. Even they may be not dressed like Hare Krishna. But whoever is shiny and smiles, that's him. That's Hare Krishna. So, Prabhupada was very proud of this. He liked that very much. And this is all coming from accepting the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread Krishna consciousness to others. Krishna consciousness is not going to function when you keep it. It's not meant that way. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Pancharattva, they emptied out the storehouse of love of Godhead unconditionally, and the next minute it was full again. So spiritual mathematics means 1 minus 1 is 10. 10 minus 10 is 100. That's the spiritual mathematics. As much you give, as more you will get. And so for anybody preaching, will experience that. None of us is a qualified bookseller. No. And our book distribution is not taking place on a platform where we can say, okay, this is now the seminar, how to sell a book. You say, hello, and hold the book like that. And then you make with the right foot like this. This is what they do. The Kamis are teaching things like that, you know. Well, that's not how you learn to distribute books. I give you again the example of Bhakta Frankenstein, who didn't know what to say even. So I told him, just tell people I'm coming from there and I'm going over here and the book is here. And he did that. People were going, oh, really? Oh yes. But he did it with such a sincerity, but there was another problem. He didn't know what to say. So then they hold the book in hand, and then he was looking at the book, and they were looking at the book, and nobody said anything. So then he asked me, what should I say? I told him, hey, just chant Hare Krishna. So that's what he did. People were holding the book in hand, and he was going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. I remember this one old lady, she just looked at him, and she said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm praying, so you take the book. And she was going, oh, then I have to take it. And she bought the book. It's how simple Sankirtan can get. I was last now in December in Germany in some special industrial park. I also ended up handing out people a book. They didn't say anything. They were just staring at the book. So I said, the same mantra, the same thing what I'm saying once, same thing twice, third time, fourth time, no response. People are just... So I look at the man and I'm going, excuse me, do you know how to read? And the man was going, yes. So then you can buy it. He was going, yes. Then he bought it. Then I turned to another woman and going, excuse me, you know how to read? And she was going, yes. And then buy it. Yes. Well, that's a very simple way to do Sankirtan, but it works, because the real saying on Sankirtan is not reason and logic. The material reason and logic is at the end. There is no reason to logic why we should distribute these books at all. Everybody came into the material world to forget Krishna. Now we are here to remember them on Krishna. Why should they like to remember Krishna suddenly? Prabhupada said, I came here to America, nobody invited me. I invited myself. I came here and I started to practice Krishna consciousness. None of you had a plan to do this. But now we are all devotees. So Prabhupada even said, I tricked you. Yeah, in such a nice way that you start to do that. So, book distribution Sankirtan is based on sincerity, surrender, and recognition. That we become recognized. Krishna sees, he is somebody who didn't plan for it. He actually doesn't have really a big desire to do this. But a real devotee thinks, I have to do that. Because it's pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, it's pleasing to Krishna. If Krishna would say, distribute bamboo sticks, then we would distribute bamboo sticks. Ultimately, we don't care. If Krishna is happy by bamboo stick distribution, then we will do bamboo stick distribution. We don't care. But we know why Krishna is so pleased by book distribution. Why? Because you don't become so Krishna conscious from bamboo sticks. But you become very Krishna conscious by just touching these books. Prabhupada said, if he reads just one word, one line, his whole life may be changed. His whole life can change. Just the existence of these books. And therefore Prabhupada wanted these books being distributed on a large scale. So there are as many as possible. Like when you throw out seeds, you cannot expect that every seed will fructify. But actually, as many you throw out, as many there is a chance that something will fructify, something will come. Some seeds they fructify in the future, not immediately. We don't know, that's not under our control. And it's not even our business. We just give it out. A Sankirtan devotee must be very simple in his understanding. That's where his strength is. So therefore we find in the brahmacharya department there is usually more potential. Because brahmacharya is supposed to be simple. What is the order? Where is the spiritual master? Sankirtan ki jai, and here we go. Please take it. You don't want to take it? maybe next time. Okay, we go to the next. Simple. And that's difficult. Why? Because we are not simple. We are coming to Krishna consciousness with our, what Srila Prabhupada used to call fertile brains. Fertile brains means like field, field, many things grow on it. You know, it grows and grows and grows. It's called speculation. So we grew up on speculation. We are living from speculation. In a material world, whoever speculates most, he is called the intellectual. You know, he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know what's the use of speculation, but he is speculating. That's called, you will get even an academic title for that. PhD on speculation. You know. Until he doesn't know what he's really talking about. Just amassing words, very fancy words, then you are really somebody. Well, that you cannot apply on Sankirtan. Sankirtan is very simple, and that makes it a little bit difficult. Because we are not simple. So, naturally we came to this movement for protection. Protection from what? Well, from ignorance. That's the biggest violence. Not to know. Not to know who I am, not to know where I come from, not to know what to do. That's the biggest violence. And that major protection we are receiving from Srila Prabhupada, who in a very concise and precise way gave us the definition who we are. Not a designation, definition. Krishna consciousness is not another exchange of designations. In the material world, everybody has a designation. Therefore, it's called the world of names. You know, everybody has a name. And it's very important, the name. You know. I mean, we have to be careful that we don't copy this into devotional life. Like, you know, I'm coming from 1972. Nobody said those days we had a seminar. You said we have a lecture. It's a lecture, you know. Talk. Lecture. And about what? Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita. Finished. You know, that's it. And after that is Kirtan. Finished. And after Kirtan comes Prasadam. Finished. And that was it. You know. Yeah. And then we all go out and give it to others. Kirtan, Prasadam, books. When Srila Prabhupada was in Germany, he actually, almost every lecture ended up with take Prasadam, chant Hare Krishna, distribute my books and be happy. Thank you very much. He took it like a formula, you know. We chanted this on the street while distributing books. So, Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple ones and complicated for the complicated ones. So the protection we all came for is protection from ignorance ultimately. And that doesn't happen from one day to another. We still feel fear because there is so much ignorance. Gradually, as the ignorance gets removed, then the feeling of fearlessness is established. For a Sankirtan devotee, it comes very quickly. It must, because he is operating all the time in a very fearful environment. We know stories, and I think every Sankirtan devotee can tell stories. What actually danger situation he was exposed to. Like we have a whole Russian crew standing there, sitting there. Those they didn't grow up in Russia and didn't join in Russia, they cannot imagine what the pioneer, the first devotees in Russia went through. Even today is not exactly without danger going on. But the first devotees, they came from a generation that as soon as you chant Hare Krishna, they put you in a mental hospital. And they put you full of drugs. That's the environment they preached. And what does these devotees do? They are more chanting Hare Krishna. And on the street, and openly. We had a big problem in Russia in the beginning. You know, it was take it easy, you know. No dandavats on the street. You know. Yeah, we had the first preachers coming into Russia, you know, driving slowly in a car, and they saw there's a devotee there, some kind of devotee candidate. He saw the car, look inside. It's a Western preacher. Immediately Dandavat. You know, and immediately there was a secret police. So, you know, so there was a problem with this. But these devotees took on risks, pain, persecution. In Germany it was not that much different. We used to get beaten, we used to get chased by police, we used to do all kinds of things. There was an open appeal in the newspapers, as soon as you see Hare Krishna, get them. Please call the next police station immediately. We used to go out on the street, you know, exit the van, and the first German household lady seeing us was going, grabbing me. And she was going, I got him! And the police came, you know. What did he do? Well, he didn't do anything, I just got him. Because I wrote in the newspaper, as soon as you see them, get them. So, you know, so that was the atmosphere. I mean, there are so many stories devotees can tell. I had a man pulling gun on me. Yes, you want a donation? Here. Why? I don't know. I immediately put my small finger into the gun. I told him, now what? The man started to laugh. And he put the gun away and walked away. Of course, I walked around the corner, I started to shake. I was going, whoa, what have I done? You know, I put a finger in a gun. In that moment, you don't really know what you are doing. And there are so many stories devotees could tell. We could go on endlessly, you know, make it a story seminar. How devotees actually are protected by inspiration. Sankirtan is inspirational. That inspiration, as Prabhupada points out here, comes from the internal energy. It doesn't come from the external energy. If it comes from the external energy, it's not going to last very long. That's the proof. You can go on Sankirtan, distribute books by being passionate, you know, or ambitious. But it will not last very long. Ultimately, what has to prevail is the sincerity. So, to a sincere devotee, protection comes in the holy name, in the instruction of the spiritual master, by the mercy of Lord Nishingadev. Preachers develop a very active relationship to the spiritual master. For them it's not just a picture on a wall to offer boga, you know. Okay, very nice, I'm hungry, okay. Where's the picture, you know? Oh, I'm more hungry, where's again the picture, you know? That, I mean, it's not the relationship. Relationship is that you go out and spread the glories of Krishna consciousness without fear. Once even I experienced being in a yatra where things got very complicated, very difficult, and you know, the relationship between devotees got difficult, everything got very difficult. And the local GPC did something really wonderful at that moment. He said, we have a book larder full of Chaitanya Charitamritas. So tomorrow a marathon starts and everybody goes out. It didn't make any sense because we had to maintain temples and so many things were going on. But he said, no, everybody goes out. So we ended up in a shopping street which was very long, but not long enough to fit so many devotees. So every 2 meters there was a devotee with a Chaitanya Charitamrita standing there. The karmis were going like this, you know, they were just... I met at the end of the shopping street, I was standing at the end, devotees drove whole pallets of books into the shopping street. You know, the whole pallet just... And then, by the end of the shopping street, I met people going, okay, I will buy it. You know, they couldn't just give up. They couldn't escape. After 2 weeks of marathon, there was no problem. No managerial problem, no financial problem, no social problem, no psychological problem, no sexual problem. Nothing, no problem. So that's always like this when we have these marathons. In the beginning, devotees think, oh, it's so difficult, oh, how do we do it? At the end of the marathon, they sometimes wonder, why does it stop? You know, what is austerity here? So it's obviously pointing out in the same direction, where the protection is, where everything is. Prabhupada made these books. He said books are the basis. And this is not just philosophical meant. They are the basis for everything. Prabhupada wanted us to build even temples on the basis of books. First books, then temples. As many books you distribute, as many temples you can build. No books, no temples. And the interesting thing is, we saw it, when you have temples without books, only a problem. Prabhupada gave him a lecture. I just heard yesterday a lecture from him. He says, it will become a burden. It was a visionary lecture, you know. He said, if you don't preach and you don't chant Krishna Katha, the temple becomes simply a burden. And the disciples, after the departure of a spiritual master, he says that, will think, our spiritual master left us simply a burden. What to do with it? And that comes when you don't preach. Srila Prabhupada liked temples, big temples, but full of devotees. He said even these temples should not be full of devotees. They should be full of books. And then devotees ask him, well, Prabhupada, where will the devotees live? Where will the devotees sleep? And he said, if they want to sleep, they have to distribute the books. You know. And he was always ahead with translation and publication. So always the book distributor is always behind, trying to catch up with Prabhupada writing, translating and publishing. So this was the times I joined. When I joined, I had no idea about book distribution. As a matter of fact, just to go out on a street and look at somebody was too much for me. I hated people, you know. Just to go out and say hello, horrible. And I found myself surrounded by 60 brahmacharis who were screaming, Sankirtan ki jai! And I said, what is this Sankirtan? Something to eat or what is it? They're going, no, smoke distribution ki jai! Prabhupada ki jai! And it was very easy actually. If you want to those days stay around, then you have to go out and distribute. And nobody asked you for the qualification. Nobody trained you even up. They put me on the street and said, do it. And I said, what? What shall I do? I had the Dode 2 days on. I said, what shall I do? I said, just give it to them. I said, no. Anyway, say something. We are coming from India. So my name was in India. And I said, this is a mantra. So I just did that. I just said that. And some of other people took it. And you know, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And then gradually I had to find out what I'm actually doing here. Now today we have much more training, much more knowledge, much more experience. Still the process basically remains the same. We are learning while we are flying. In Krishna consciousness you learn by doing it. That's the process Prabhupada gave. He didn't want us to sit down and become paramahamsas by study and then go out. Yes, he wants us to become paramahamsas, but by hearing and chanting, shravanam kirtanam, this process, all the time, practice. So we come as fast as possible to the level of vigyan, realized knowledge. There's theoretical knowledge and realized knowledge. So Prabhupada has to be realized. There is no other better way to get quickly realized as to go on Sankirtan and distribute the books. If you ever thought you are humble, go out. You will find out. You will find the momentum where you will think, okay, if the next one doesn't take a book, I will punch him in the nose. You think, what? What am I thinking? I thought I'm a brahmana. Oh yes, finally the pollution came up. It's like Prabhupada said, like making ghee. You put butter into fire, you warm it up, and the first thing which comes up is the pollution, the dirt. Then you scoop it, and then you warm it more up, and more comes out. You think, where is this coming from? This used to be a pure, I was thinking this was pure butter. Yeah, it's pure butter, but full of pollution. And then you make it again, until it's really pure ghee. So therefore sometimes devotees think, oh, before I joined and I was not going on Sangha, I was so peaceful. I was sleeping all the time. You know, I was really peaceful. Now I am just pushed around like this here. They wake me up in the morning, you know, and I have to do this and this and this, and I cannot do this and I cannot do that. And then they put me on a street and I have to distribute here something which I really understand, you know. And but this is purification. Therefore, sincerity is the key. So only a sincere person, he can accept such a treatment. And he accepts it gladly. That doesn't mean he always smiles. You know, yeah. Sometimes you get yourself on Sankirtan situation, you will cry. Even the strongest man will cry. You know. But it's tears, it's just a liquid false ego coming out. You become more and more humble. You know. In the morning you may think, I am God. Well, in the evening it will be different. So, it's a wonderful process Prabhupada gave us. You know, a fast seminar, fast course on Krishna consciousness. But a very sincere Sankirtan will know that you have to keep your life in balance. It's not just a question of running out and selling books, we know that. The protection comes, as we mentioned, by knowledge. And that comes theoretical knowledge also, which is to be practiced. Both ways. Again, same process. Hearing, practicing. Hearing, practicing. And this is a perfect Sankirtan offers a perfect platform for that. If you are a brahmachari, you go on Sankirtan, you think it's heavy. Well, become a grihastha. You will find out. Where is your regulation? Where is your time to read? Where is your time to chant? And then, you know, if you really want to find out, then have some children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You will see. You will remember the brahmachari days thinking, oh, this was so simple. My only problem was that the other Prabhu took my dhoti. Oh, a big problem. Brahmacharis, there was big problems. Prabhu, I need a new saffron color for my dhoti. Big problem. You know, very big problems. You know, so if you want to enjoy yourself, really, that doesn't mean grihasthas cannot join Sankirtan, especially if they are trained up already. They could and they should, but it will be, of course, more difficult. There are even grihasthas who do maintain themselves by book distribution. That's amazing. It's glorious. Prabhupada very much liked that. You know. So, if one wants to stay protected in Krishna consciousness, one has to preach. And the best preaching and the most safe preaching is by book distribution. You don't have to say much. Just enough to give them the book. Perfect preaching. When there was a program, even here in India, big program, Prabhupada always asked, how many books? When there was many books being distributed along the program, Prabhupada said, very good program. Not so many books, not so good program. He said, what can you 3 minutes preaching do? Okay, we also do that. But, we usually have the experience when we speak, we are not like Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't even say anything and he already made devotees. You just look at a person and that person was already going, yeah, okay, I will do it, I promise. Sorry, I forgot Krishna. But Prabhupada was so pure, he just looked at somebody and that person was already in a defense. We preach for 2 hours and then people go, well, it's your opinion, That's the end of our preaching, okay. You can start again. But when they take a book and they keep the book at home, Maybe at the particular moment they are not ready for understand or even appreciate the book. But their life may change. You know, they may face all kinds of very, very unpleasant circumstances. Usually it's the pain which brings the conditioned soul to Krishna consciousness, unfortunately. Only a very, very intelligent person will join this movement even amidst some very materially spoken, comfortable circumstance. Usually they come because of pain. You know, some kind of pain. Physical, mental, social, economical pain, whatever. Krishna knows, Krishna says that. And so they are all dear to me, who come out of curiosity, who come out of physical pain, economical need. But of course, those they come in a search for knowledge, they are most dear to me. Why? Because they will most profoundly understand the need of Krishna consciousness. They are most lasting. But everybody can join in. Therefore, we offer the possibility to go out and distribute books to everybody. Of course, some training should be done. That training should eliminate pain, so we don't make mistakes which we can avoid. Now, I don't want to turn this into a practical training seminar. I think we have other seminars for that also. But the point here made is the ultimate protection we can find in Krishna consciousness is preaching. And while preaching, we should understand that book distribution is the most lasting and most affecting level how to broadcast Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, as soon the books are there, we become respectable. When we just talk, or even Harinam, sometimes they take like, yeah, they are just jumping here around, man. You know, in the West especially. You know, but as soon as there is a book, they go, oh, there is some philosophy here. It's serious. That's how fools also become respectable in the material world. You have to write a book. In the academic world, they have a saying, you know, publish or perish. This means you have to publish something. Even it can be the most foolish thing, but just a book. They go, this is my book. They go, nobody understands one word. But you know, but it's published. You know, it's a published foolishness. So, but to speak of a published truth. So Prabhupada very, very much stressed that this movement is based on book publication and book distribution. As long as this goes on, there will be no problem and no cessation. Not possible to stop. So, it's not so much time we have here. I don't want to take time also from those they come after me. Maybe somebody has some questions or comments to this. We have some microphone going around. There was a microphone here, I saw one. Microphone, where's the mic? Who's the organizer here? Joseph, Bhakta Joseph.
Streets are generally not very clean, nice places. Rather, they're gross. And so, what to do when we sort of get depressed day after day, when we just, you know, peddle books on the street? We start thinking, you know what? I could be more doing something in higher circles and, you know, more.
Yes, that's natural. You know, when you swim in an ocean of stool the whole day, you are really wondering where your purity is. But therefore we have to keep our internal Krishna consciousness very strong. And this is exactly what I can recommend everybody to come in the afternoon for Vijay Prabhu's seminar. That's actually what he is going to talk about. I am more like the outdoor slang bank man. He is the real internal Krishna internal Sankirtan man, where it's very important so we keep our our Krishna consciousness solid. How do we do that? By very regulated life. Regulation is very essential for those who go out and distribute books. You cannot do it whimsically, occasionally, like that. So for again, brahmacharis who go out steadily every day and they are in this regulation, they they have usually more easy time. And then association is very important. Because you do associate with the karmis. Actually, we shouldn't associate with them, they should associate with us. So one is to be very strong for that. There is so much, especially today, there is so much agitation on the streets. Even I noticed, even when I was going on Sankirtan first time 35 years ago, you cannot compare this of today. What you get to see, the way people act, the way they speak, it's so degraded. So one has to protect oneself in a practical sense on the street, constantly chanting. Sometimes new devotees go on the street, they distribute and they think, how can I chant? People will hear that. So what? They don't care. Like Prabhupada, he had this outlook towards the world. This is Krishna's world. And we belong to Krishna, so this is our world also. Like one time a devotee told him, Prabhupada, the day will come, a devotee will have their own airlines, their own airplanes. Prabhupada said, we have it already. These airplanes are made for us, so we can fly around. So he saw it like that. So one should not be so much concerned with the social outlook in that regard. One should just chant firmly and nicely present his books. And very important is the association and of course the whole lifestyle. Therefore we don't see anybody distributing books who is going beyond the four regulative principles, at least not in the long term. It's very difficult. Sometimes they ask us, what do you do with people who deviate and then how will they distribute books and this? They don't. Usually they don't. They are quite unique in our process of book distribution. You don't find much competition on the street. Sometimes they try different groups to imitate this. It doesn't last for long because of that purity. Prabhupada said the purity is our unique asset. Purity in purpose, purity in action. So, and then we have, especially today, we have so many other refreshment programs. We have so many refreshment programs for Sankirtan devotees. Sankirtan devotees can join some preaching programs. That's like the next stage. If you have problems with directly handling the book distribution, you can join some preaching program. Nowadays people go to India here, join some parikramas and parayatra. There you can also distribute. Like I was just last year on a Slovenian parayatra. And Slovenia is a small country. But it's very ideal for parayatra, for walking. And the whole Sankirtan was there, all the Sankirtan devotees, and they were completely refreshed. Because here suddenly you were not alone on the street distributing books, but a whole procession came with bull and kirtan, and when you go in a small village like this, all the people they all come out, and actually the book distribution became quite big. This is wonderful. Along that, this is also very refreshing. So, it's a fact that we can only go ahead as much as we have. You cannot drive a car with an empty petrol tank. So sometimes we have to refuel, but we should never lose the idea and the motivation to go out and distribute. And there will be also others who want to go out too. They need assistance. They need help. It's a duty of every, especially older Sankirtan devotee, to help the younger ones. Book distribution should not die with us. The last book distributor died here.
No están manejando el Sankirtan como antes lo manejaban, no empujaban. ¿Qué hacen los devotos antiguos? Que ya hace muchos años que hacen Sankirtan, que no tienen ese tipo de inspiración.
We notice that the leadership nowadays doesn't push book distribution as much as they used to. So what do senior devotees do in such a situation?
Senior Sankirtan.
Oh yeah, senior Sankirtan.
Now we get controversial. No, we don't want to be controversial. Actually, speaking just for Europe, I never went to America. I was just in Europe all the time, Scandinavia. Huh? Yeah, I'm staying mostly in Europe. So there is a great increasement of encouragement for book distribution. It's a fact. There was for years was not too much of that. But presently we experience really a great increasement of encouragement for book distribution.
I haven't found anywhere where I've seen a lot of increase of encouragement for book distribution.
Huh?
I have never seen anywhere where there's an increase of encouragement to go out on book distribution. I've seen only people discouraging.
Well, there are. Well, I can give you practical places. If you want to go to Germany, there was practically zero book distribution for a long time. Last marathon in Germany was 80 people out there distributing. That's a lot. We never had this even in the best days. Yeah. There are a few more places. There are places which really need bad assistance, like France, Spain could do also better. So so things like that.
Yeah, we are from Spain.
Yeah, they could do. There used to be all big book distribution going on there, and it's wonderful. I heard everybody is distributing, no problem. So the preaching field is perfect. That's right. Well, those they want to distribute books, they could also make some noise about it. Yeah. Yeah. We are living in an age of democracy,
But it's not working so much, this democracy.
Huh?
It's not working so much. The leader said...
Prabhupada himself said, that's why we want so much books being distributed, because of the democracy business. Because when we affect the masses with book distribution, they will actually make noise. And the pressure comes from below.
So many people, so many devotees, especially have so much scare about leaders because, for example,
First of all, one thing. First of all, when we get into this, the leaders, then that's a little bit too simplified, oversimplified. You have to understand that the leaders are also devotees, and they are struggling on their own. So therefore, let's have some compassion upon the leaders. Whoever tries to be a leader, go ahead and try it. I was just a temple president for 15 years. I can tell you, I will never do this again. But, that's my personal problem. Yeah? So, it's a very ungrateful task to be leader of anything in Kali Yuga. You can do anything what you want. You do something, immediately there will be hundreds of people coming. In my opinion, I think, I believe. So therefore, you don't find any leaders. Like amongst karmis, you find only the most stubborn, senseless, type of people dominating the leadership posts. They are practically on a level of rhinoceros, or an elephant. It doesn't feel anything. Standing there, they have to shoot him or drag him away from the post. He will not move. No conscience, no, nothing. So this, usually amongst devotees is not like that. Amongst devotees, every bona fide leader has the feeling, I wish I could do something else. And he is very often doing it plainly because out of duty. It's not fun in Kali Yuga to be a leader. Not at all. especially not in the absence of Srila Prabhupada. You have no idea what an easy time we had when Prabhupada was here, and how difficult it was. If you think there is any problems today we have, which they were not there when Prabhupada was, they were all there. All there. The whole catalogue, I can give you the whole list of problems. They were all there when Prabhupada was here. But Prabhupada was going, no, not good. Finished. No more meeting. Here in Mayapur once, there was so much discussion. Prabhupada said, what did he say? He said, so much discussion, so much revolution, no solution. So he said, everybody in a kirtan. He said, I'm now the GBC here. Finished. In a kirtan, everybody. And they all went in a kirtan going, it's this, you know. It's great. Let's take prasadam and go in a kirtan. What's the problem? Sounds almost like a fairy tale from today's point of view. So, but you know, that was easy. And it's always like that. When a person of that kind of size and magnitude leaves the planet, naturally it's not going to be that easy. Proportionally to that, you know, how many problems we are surrounded with, we are still surviving, you know, quite good. Otherwise we wouldn't sit here. But there is certainly, you know, a need to, and that's actually, to be quite frankly, I didn't pick up this title for the seminar, you know, protection of Sankirtan devotees. This was done by somebody who actually felt that I was in the past very active protecting Sankirtan devotees, and something should be said in this issue. Because it's needed. It's absolutely needed. The Sankirtan devotees, now I will say something really controversial, the Sankirtan devotee should be the conscience of this movement. Conscience means that everybody should be responsible to the Sankirtan devotees. Because of the Sankirtan devotees, we should preach nicely, personally. Because of the Sankirtan devotees, there should be no debts. Because of the Sankirtan devotees, the whole management should be done like this. I was 25 years living in a zone, in a part of Europe, where it was a rule that every temple president and manager was an old Sankirtan devotee. So he always had to remember that, you know, how was it in the old days? And there was problems, there was debts too. But still the prevailing mood was an absolute protection to the Sankirtan. We had a GBC who, in a winter, when the cars didn't start, you know, because it was too cold, he pushed the cars down the hill with the Sankirtan devotees in it. He packed his car full of books and he traveled around the country unpredictably during the marathon with a car full of books. And he was already a spiritual master, you know. So for the disciples it was very, very demanding, because they were distributing books and suddenly the car came up on the street, you know. The window came down and he was going, do you need more books? Going, yes, Guru Maharaj. Last year in Hungary, this is a special place, in the Hungarian Yatra, you know, Shiva Maharaj here, he found out that all the devotees had mobile phones. So he had a physically great problem even to move, but he got himself around, I don't know, I would want to make some phony numbers here, some 80 phone numbers, you know, from the Sankirtan devotees. Everybody had a mobile phone. And so the whole marathon, the mobile phone was coming up, you know, how much? Even the deities got a mobile phone. And the devotees could actually send SMS messages, you know, to the deities, prayers. The pujaris were reading it to them every evening. Somehow, whatever, I'm not saying this is the way, the only way to inspire Sankirtan. But there is attention, there's generally if you speak, but it's very simple. You want more protection, you want more support, and go for it. Who is stopping you? But don't do it in this throwing bricks, regime, just
it was a little heavy, but it was good. A lot of service was being done. And now this isn't going on. I'm personally discouraged very oftentimes when I go to temples.
You have to look for the sources of encouragement.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in a person in my situation who's nobody, what to do? I mean, okay, I approached GBC, they said, yeah, that's great.
We have the whole ISKCON world out there. You think it's just limited to one town and one village or whatever. And when you look around, you will find birds of the same feather flock together.
My point is that it's not descending. The fired up
Maybe
spirit
not to the degree we would like to. What do you want to do? You want to sit there and say, please, descend?
No, from the authorities.
Yeah, but you cannot sit there and just going, shape up.
Yeah, so I'm asking you what to do then.
First of all, who is stopping you?
I'm going out.
Yeah, that's right.
I bought my own van. I said to hell with everybody.
Right.
I'm going to do it myself.
Right. And
But
you are
I'm
not
an
alone.
island.
You are not alone.
I'm just some loser. I'm just trying to do the
No.
best I can. So I'm asking. So there's no answer then. There's no answer to this question. Then the
What do you want me
answer
to
is
do
there's
now?
no
To go over in a building and say, okay, now it's enough here.
If enough Prabhupada disciples do like this, there's going to be a difference.
Huh? We do. I do in my field.
I can't.
I get in trouble too, don't worry. But you have to understand, it's many persons involved in this society. And the first thing, you do the right thing. Get your van, go out. But we cannot demand, this is a policy which drives you to the point of despair. We cannot demand that the whole world around you will shape up. Every older devotee can present you a long list of complaints and things he sees he doesn't want to see. Every older devotee can do that. Personally, I did that too. I have a long list. But what shall I do? Walk around with a list? Who is inspired to read it? And how can I go about it? So it's not harmful to be a little bit selfish on that point. Selfish means that you have to really look, what can I do for Prabhupada? But the first question is not who is encouraging you to who is encouraging you to distribute books. The first question is who is stopping you distributing books. And if nobody is stopping you, go ahead. I know places where they stop book distribution. That's bad. But it never lasts for long. That's never lasts for long. But I know plenty of places where they really give you a green light, please go ahead and distribute books. So then, we cannot wait all the time until some big daddy comes and holds our hand and there we go. Doesn't work. I try in my field, whatever I can, I raise my voice completely openly. I say completely openly like that, but what can you do? We don't have a ISKCON police coming in, He is not encouraging book distribution, imprisoning. We don't have that. This is a voluntary movement. There are sometimes people coming to this movement, I wonder where do they come from at all. And they preach things I never heard about. I say, wow, that's far out. Where is this coming from? I'm absolutely sure when Prabhupada would be here, he will stop it in 1 minute. 1 word, we finished, over. I cannot stop that. What can I do? So I go to those, actually, they know also. They remember still the same thing. And they go, yeah, funny, isn't it? And then they do their own thing. That's how it goes. That's real life. Otherwise, how can you survive? How can you live?
I want to know if there is a policy about printing books by my own.
Huh?
I want to know if there is a policy about printing books by myself.
Huh?
Printing books, by myself.
Painting.
Printing.
Oh yeah, Prabhupada said very clearly how it should be done and,
Yeah, but we are waiting, Bhagavad Gita for more than 1 year.
Go to the VBT trustees
Yeah.
and give them a hard time. But they will also tell you sometimes rationally, how can we print when there is no distribution?
Yeah, but there is...
That's connected. And the distribution, there should be a print. Give them a hard time. And if you cannot print one with BBT, maybe you should ask another. I don't know. There are many BBTs, you know. Communicate this out. Instead of just complaining, communicate this out maximum. We have to sometimes press our demands for preaching's sake. It's not your personal demand. You are not crying after a new devotee. You are crying after distributing Prabhupada's books. That's bona fide.
Sometimes I try to convince Prabhupada disciple to come in and do Sankirtan with me, and I analyze. No, it's not the same way to how preach to new bhakta.
No, it's not the same way.
So it's like I tell him, no,
it's very difficult to teach old dogs new tricks.
Yeah. Sometimes you become a nice friend, and slowly coming. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you encourage every book distributor to join a Sankirtan party?
Join a Sankirtan party? Well, yeah, I'm working, in Europe we are basically restructuring Sankirtan. Previously it was easy. There was temple, there was Brahmachari Sankirtan party, Brahmacharini Sankirtan party, you just join that. Today is not like that. Not entirely. It's starting again, but so you have to encourage anybody who comes. Anybody. And you have to be there, preferably find a devotee who has already experienced it. So he can train that person. Some training has to be there. You cannot just put books in people's hands and send them out. They can do all kinds of very, very unpleasant things. They represent Krishna consciousness. So nowadays, like I mentioned the example of Germany, they had 80 people out there in marathon. From these 80, there may be 12 real Sankirtan devotees full time. The rest just joined in. I was going out with the Mataji party, by the way, Some of them never distributed a book. Usually they distribute and cry simultaneously. Anyway.
I was wondering, is there a Mataji Sankirtan party, and can you tell something more about if there is
Where?
a Mataji somewhere in the world, anywhere?
Europe?
Europe, for instance, yeah.
Not much. Not as I know. Some established Sankirtan Mataji party, no. But there are Matajis who have a Sankirtan experience, definitely. I can give you later on if you want, I can give you some addresses.
Yeah,
I gladly do that.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Sorry to disturb you.
Yes, we will go.
Just wait somewhere on the stage, if you don't mind.
No, we don't wait. As long as somebody who is coming after me, am I taking somebody's time now? We are reaching to
Don't worry, keep going.
Yeah, otherwise this is okay.
Sorry.
Hmm? Yeah.
I just heard that the German Yatra had many problems with government, taxes, about book distribution, because didn't pay.
No taxes, the BBT debt to the BBT from the old days. Otherwise there is no problem. As a matter of fact, Germany has a very nice example. They got a very good legal setup for distribution and for the Sankirtan devotees. After years and years where nobody cared, so we just, we were taken by the police every 5 minutes. Now, very difficult. The police is very humble. If they make a wrong move, they get immediately the copies in the last court cases. We won. So, it's completely different. It's bliss to go to Germany and distribute. It's really nice.
Everybody speaks English in Germany? We can do Sankirtan in English?
Yeah,
Yes.
but coordinate with the local management. But there will be, there's everybody speaks now. Something else?
When we are doing book distribution, we get some pride. One day we did more than 100 books. At that day, we feel very proud. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing more books.
Yeah.
How we come out of that pride?
by going next day out again. You will find out. That's the beauty of Sankirtan. It's self-regulating. It's self-regulating. This is so wonderful. If this movement would be based in this mood, so many problems will be gone. So many problems. If we would make it, even meditating about that. Oh, like I mentioned, we had a whole crew of temple presidents. They were all previous Sankirtan devotees. And there was always an option there. If there is some problem, they have to go out on the street on Sankirtan. I was myself managing like that. I had always a pile of books next to my table. And whenever things got too crazy in the temple, I just went out around the corner, distribute a few books. And it was like, And then I went back again, Because by managing Kali Yuga, you can become crazy, and it's a fact. So, so if this would be like, alone Mayapur, I tell you. I came first time to Mayapur maybe 1977 or 78. It was just this long building and the lotus building. There was nothing else. And the prasadam hall and the wall with the gate. That was it. It was just dirt here. It was full of Sankirtan devotees. This building here, I came here along and there was the chief distributor from America on that first floor. He was going, "Come here! Next year I will defeat you." This was the mood. It was just that. I'm not saying now we should forget all the programs. I hope nobody misunderstands. I'm saying, there's a letter from Prabhupada, I could find it now for you. Where Prabhupada writes, by stressing book distribution, he writes that, I'm very pleased by the Sankirtan results. By reading such a good Sankirtan results, I take it for granted that all other programs flourish very nicely. You see, this is the... So I wouldn't bother with this being puffed up after 100 books. Just go next day out and you will see. Krishna will show. Fortunately, there is enough karmis and there is enough conditioned souls which will regulate us very nicely by their false ego. Yeah, he wants to say.
So, how to, for me a big thing is, I'm not, so fired up, so I need encouragement, specifically from big people who are like GBCs and like this, the support. They give classes to tell their disciples, their temple, etc. That was kind of my point. How to properly encourage them to do that, or is that not so good?
There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. But you have to understand, if you deal with leaders in general, they are, they have a certain charisma, and you cannot avoid that. Now this is something I'm talking about in theory because I'm not very good at myself. But when you approach somebody who is a leader, you don't go like, "Hey, you come here," Yeah? It has to be humble, but firm. So one can, I experience personally in such situations that when you come in a humble and firm way, you get always a good response. And like I mentioned again, I can repeat the same thing again. If you cannot get it here, then get it somewhere else. It's always a place to get. To speak about America, I don't know America practically at all, but I know a few really inspired Sankirtan devotees there. They will help. Only with the inspiration, then get it from them.
I'm kind of at a loss. So I'm thinking that you're saying, or I'm asking you, would it be okay or good for such a person like myself, and I would encourage everyone else to do that with the strength in numbers, although demon crazy democracy isn't the best, but what to do in a situation such as this, to approach, just personally when I see the Swamis and the GBCs and everybody's walking around.
It's alright. Yeah.
Homage, please.
Yes.
Encourage.
Why not?
Preach, like that.
Especially when you practice that. To put it simply as a point on the agenda is a little bit theoretical. But when you really want to do it, you said you have a band, right? And you want to really do it practically. You go around. Ask for support, ask for help. That's what we came here for, to Krishna consciousness. We want support, we want help, we want inspiration.
Could you please say a few words about profit of the books in terms of different ashrams and what should be the principle and policy?
Now I can get really in trouble with the management.
What do you say about this one? Because I never heard that people are making a living out of distributing books. So I just want to know. It's unheard by me.
In order to make a grihastha inspired, so he can make his living from distributing books, you have to make, of course, the books in a very, very accessible. Right? Now, in practical sense, all the books have to be stored somewhere. The BBT must be paid. Prabhupada was very heavy on this. BBT must be paid and the books has to be stored somewhere. So then you got the, and the system Prabhupada set up was that the temple is selling the books for double BBT. And there should be something for the storage. I mean, you have to insure books, you have to store them. And that's where it should end. We should rather pay more attention to that, how these books are distributed. Not that we make the books, we tax them so heavy that nobody will even touch them. I know examples of that. That the books are so expensive, nobody will even think about this. But generally, the printing price, everything will be adjusted like that, so it's easily accessible. And this is where the cooperation comes in between the BBT and the BBT in general is just a supplier. They will go along anything, what people want, they like to print. Like I know in Germany they are very conscious about this, to print books in such a way so it can be distributed to anybody. That the end price is, very reasonable, extremely reasonable. In Germany it's a wonderful example of that. I mean, you couldn't get the books hardly cheaper. That's the reason why even people who don't distribute so many books, and it's one of the reasons why they are inspired and they go, okay, let's go on a marathon, why not? Well, let's try it out. And in Grihastha distributing, there are very few, it's a fact. Very few Grihasthas mainly, because you have to really go full time to maintain a family like this.
How do you determine those prices?
Huh?
How do you determine the prices? Because as you said, DVD has to be made anyway. So.
Determining prices, I can only mention the principle Prabhupada gave. How the principle is dealt with locally, I don't know and I cannot control.
Does the Grihastha fix his own price? Or
Huh?
Does the Grihastha fix his own price or is it in accordance with the local price?
You mean on the street, as you are distributing? That's pretty free. Nobody can force you to sell a book for this price. Which puts us a little bit at risk that people go, well, last week I bought the Bhagavad Gita from this brahmachari, and it was cheaper like from you, Grihastha. You can explain people, I'm a Grihastha. I have to earn some money to maintain a family, Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question. Prabhuji, like in Delhi, we go on the various efforts for book distribution. So many people say that, why don't you advertise? You have very good books, BBT, also very reasonable price. But why don't you advertise? So as a policy, Don't be advertised in the newspaper or media.
It's possible, it's why not. I cannot really comment on the local thing, but it's a suggestion. You can speak to the local management, why not? But in the West, it didn't prove to be very productive. Because it costs so much money to advertise, and the outcome is very mediocre. Therefore, in the West, rather we focus on inspiring the devotees. That's the best advertisement we have. In India, I would say it's a completely different field. It's very different. I wouldn't even dare to comment on this because I'm not the India man, you know. Here you can do things you cannot do in the West. Very difficult. Here devotees sell books on pallets, and like this, and they give lots of books also very cheap or practically for free, and in the West we don't do it like that.
Prabhu, in his Sankirtan story, share, many devotees are here, make it more cool.
Sankirtan stories, there are so many. I mean, Sankirtan stories are supposed to be educational. So what do you want to know? Which lesson you want to draw from a story? I can tell you a story to it.
How to convince German people, because in Barcelona there's so many German tourists. It's very difficult to distribute in books in Barcelona to Germans. How to convince German people is?
Yeah, today Germans, they are a little bit different, like the Germans 35 years ago I distributed to initially, because every second German comes from Istanbul, you know. But, so it's a little bit watered down, the original German approach. But of course, when you deal with Germans, you have to be very firm. You have to go, hello, this is an authorized book from authorized people for the authorized price, Very cheap, very cheap. It's authorized cheap. This is how it is in Germany. You cannot be coming with the Spanish ways or, You never go. You have to be a little bit of a German tank, Sturmangriff. There's not much sentimentality on the street with the Germans nowadays. Never was. Yeah. It's like, every country has its conditioning. I travel around Europe, so I can tell you about every country, how to go there. Except France, maybe I wasn't there, but otherwise, and Sankirtan devotees, they are not this body. Sankirtan devotee, he just wants to distribute books. Even within Germany, you will find so many differences. North Germany, it's like refrigerating. That's North Germany. When you come in the middle part, they are all Vaishya type. They're making, So you go, hello, this is nice book, it's cheap, cheap, cheap. Even the towns are different in Germany. They have one called Baden-Baden, it's like Monte Carlo, it's like, it's like a gambling town. So we used to distribute books like this. Hello, take one of these. It's like a waiter in a restaurant. In that town, even dogs have earrings with diamonds. So anyway, when you come to Bavaria, this is a kind of on the Alps. These mountain people, they have a neck like an oxen. And you have to become physical. Bang! Good work, good people. It's only 5 kilos. Yeah. Things like that. You can adjust. Sankirtan devotees, they can just do anything. I can take you to Scandinavia, in Sweden, you can distribute, hello, It's like they don't even look in your eyes. They just go, And you distribute like that, you just go. And you don't let it go until they go, okay, I have to take it. In Norway, if you go to Norway, you have to say, this is for Norwegian people with Norwegian flag, and it's all Norwegian here. We once had Norwegian money. It's all Norwegian. They're extremely nationalistic. Tomorrow you will have a Tattavada Prabhu. He's leading the book distribution in Finland. He will confirm that. You know what he was before he joined? He was an officer in an army. They are all like that. Oh, let's die for Krishna. Yeah. Very heroic. This is the beauty of this movement, you can be anything in this movement. Sometimes devotees try to be somebody else and they become a joke. Then you go to whatever. You go to Italy, They are all this. And you have to speak Italian. It's exactly him. Wow. So this is Sankirtan. Sankirtan can be so much fun when you go around. And Sankirtan devotees, they are like, we are not this body, so you can adjust yourself. So what? That's the body they carry around. So I can play along with that. What's the problem?
I want to know the importance of eye contact. Eye contact. The importance of eye contact.
Eye contact. Very important because it carries personalism. Prabhupada said the whole consciousness is in the eyes. It's not in the nose and in the ears. It's in the eyes. That's what you learn in New Bhakta when he goes on the street, because they always do the same thing, They go, hello, take one of these. And people go, what? And then, there's no contact. So that's the first thing you teach them. I don't want to get into this too much. The first thing you teach in New Bhakta, it's very simple. Somebody wants a new start book distribution here. Probably all book distributors, Yeah? No, just, it's like somebody very new one here. That's for the very new bhaktas. So the first thing, when they step on the street and they all sing the same thing. They sing, I cannot do it. No, I cannot do it. Anybody else can do it, I cannot do it. No. So the first thing you're telling, hey, listen. There is, the mic is attached to it. Listen, there's people.
Mike. Hey, Mike.
Mike is coming.
That's how simple book distribution introduction is. So you tell to a new bhakta, look, they all walk like this. And they have two hands hanging down like this. So what you do is, you aim with the book for this area here. Just like this. And you will see the book automatically comes up. So when it's 45 degrees, drop it. And then he has it in hand. And he will stand there. And you say something. And eye contact. Look in his eyes. Hello. And then you have to say something. What should I say? We are coming from there, and we go over there, and the book is here. Oh. Something simple. Simple. There are distributors who are very experienced in their mantras and the simple sayings. But when you look in detail, it's not what you say what it makes you to sell the book. It's the charisma that the devotee carries. Vijay Prabhu, who will come in the afternoon, there is a video recordings of him distributing on the street. If you would see it, he has this, he was distributing it in Sweden, he has this voice. Hello, I'm from California. People go, oh, okay. And he opens the book and he shows them. This is bodies changing, changing bodies here. Everybody will die, yes. And then they go, oh yeah. He said, and are you intelligent? I can see you are intelligent. This is for intelligent people. They go, there's even an incident where they have a boy and a girl standing on the street. you know. And he goes to the boy and the girl and he goes, so who of you is more intelligent? And the girl immediately says, me. You know, then he goes, oh, then you can take this book. You know, it's like, there are different ways to do it. I keep it usually very simple. Because I believe that the book is distributed in the first few seconds. It's just a momentary impression. People go, ah. And then is the whole thing, how to do that. Then comes the advanced version, which a new bhakta has a hard time with. Because for this you have to control your senses. And you have to control your mind. And you have to control your false ego. All at once. Because the Kali stands there with the senses, you know. So you have to control his senses with something. Hello! And the senses are controlled. Sound is very important. You look in his eyes and you go, hello! And different devotees make different sounds, but just to be very concentrated. Sounds carries the consciousness. It's pure yoga. And then you go around the senses and you engage the mind. Hello! You know, and you go... Senses are focused, the mind is focused. Now you have to go around the intelligence. The intelligence thinks, we should not buy this. You know, why should we buy this? So you have to go around the intelligence very quickly until you hit the false ego. And that you can hit by humility. Oh, yes. The false ego goes, okay, it's allowed. You know. And then you reach the soul and you drop it. You drop the bomb. This is all within 1 second. This is the... Okay, the first come the senses, right? The person, senses. They are all on an essential platform, all of them. You know, they go and, you know. This is what you meet on the street, you know. And this whole heavily guarded by false ego. So it's like entering a fortress, you know. So the first thing, you block the senses. Some devotees use a very external means, you know, just like, you know, sometimes only a little thing is enough. You know, like I used to do, like, you know, it's a little thing, but it completely knocks out the senses. And oh, what did you do? Yeah? This is not something you can, but you do it. I mean, I don't even know why I did that. You just do anything, whatever you're inspired to do. Sankirtan is such a field of improvisation. You know, you just go. And then, you know, that's the senses, right? And we have to be very quick. There's no time. So after the senses is then the mind, and the mind is controlled by sound. You know, yeah. So you go, you know, hello, and you know, yes, and you know, and the eye contact is to be there. It's really, you kind of hook him up, and then, you know, and he's just, he cannot move. As soon as he moves, it's over. So you take over his senses, you take over his mind. And then, after the mind comes the intelligence, which always creates doubt. In a conditioned state, the intelligence creates doubt. So the intelligence will immediately ask, why should I buy this? What is this? You know, is it paper? You know, who is this? You know, yeah. And that shouldn't happen. He should not ask really much, you know. So you just have something very convincing, clear, conviction, sincerity. You know, when you have no doubt, he will have no doubt. You project this. And then you go around, you know, and give him a book. And then at the end is the soul, which is actually in ecstasy. Therefore, when you drop the book, he gives the donation. They are all like, and then you go away, and they go, and the whole show comes backwards again. You know, first comes the false ego. What have you done? You know, Then comes the intelligence, not good, not good. And then comes the mind, and the senses go, oh, a book, I'm not reading. It's too late. Bhaktalata beach is planted. You know. So this is in a shortcut what Sankirtan
Can you
is.
explain something about asking about money, the donations?
Money? Okay. It's different a little bit from country to country. Like here in India, you can be very plain about this. You know, Guru Dakshin. Okay. In the West, it doesn't work. They go what? Guru? I'll call police. So this doesn't really work like that. But yeah, one has to be very discreet about this because everybody wants money. That's what they think we came for money. Prabhupada said book distribution is not for money making. In that sense that we shouldn't have the attitude of it as a priority. So when people ask how much does it cost, you can say, just look, give something. Just look. Because the point is that he pulls out the money back. So as soon as he has the money back out and he opens it, then it's practically already done. Because then you get, most people give $10. Social pressure, you know. Then he goes, just when he takes out the money, you know, then you know, then you go, most people, and he goes, okay, you know, yeah. But you have to do it nicely and very detached. As soon as you get attached, the classical scene is Bhakta Joe is distributing, you know, when they open the money bag and Bhakta Joe goes. It doesn't work like that. And then they go, okay. But there are exceptions. Like I give exception of Matajis, they have a little bit bonus on this. They have a special thing. I saw one Mataji like in Germany many years ago. She did something that was unbelievable. You know. Those Matajis can do that. She got one of these fat German Mercedes drivers, you know. He just exited this Mercedes, you know. You know. Then she just surfaced like a submarine in front of him, you know. Hello. The man just exploded immediately, you know. He just disintegrated. He could just like, you know. Then she gave him the book, and he took out the wallet, and believe it or not, she went into the wallet with all 10 fingers, you know, just, and she started to pull the money out. Never do this. Never do this. This is heavy. The man was just... And she was going, this is when you're a Mataji, you can do this. You know? The man was just... By the time the wallet was empty, she gave it back to him. He was going, but I need some money for the petrol, you know, to tank the car. She just spat on his big belly and she was going, walking is healthy. And the man, you know, and the man got 10 books, he was completely in bliss. He was just, oh, walking is healthy, oh. You know, if I would do it, he would call police, you know, it's impossible. So again, you have to be careful. But the money issue is always very, very sensitive. So one should not push this. One should be detached, but concentrated. And if they go, no, I don't want to give money, and then we shouldn't be like heckling, you know, just give more, no. This is not our level. Okay, maybe next time. Thank you very much. Yeah, enough calmness around. Go to the next. Okay. Would be nice if tomorrow devotees could bring more, make it more interactive more. That's always most inspiring.
We have a small question.
To stop him.
No, it's not him, it's him. No, it's Avi.
We have to stop, right? Yes,
In 2 minutes. See, in India, we have many devotees doing Sankirtan. They do on the traffic lights for 8 hours, 9 hours every day. But they are falling ill. could you comment how to take care of them, because they eat in the morning, 8 o'clock, night 8 o'clock, with no in between, in between lunch or a
I
meal.
heard in Tirupati or something they go 2 shifts, isn't it?
But in Delhi, they go for 12 hours or 11 hours non-stop. They are falling ill. Very young people falling ill.
Right.
What you can do that they don't,
I don't know. I'm not. You have to clear this with the local management.
comment, with your vast experience.
I don't know. Even this kind of distribution we never did in the West.
In Los Angeles, is one devotee in charge to go by car and give prasad to these devotees, like a boat.
It's one way to do it. You have to discuss with the local management. I couldn't last like this for that long period on the lights in Delhi. Okay. Thank you very much.
Take time because this it inspires devotees.
They always want to hear stories. Whenever I go, I'm the storyteller.
Because
I always try to, I'm so tired of stories. But actually, no, it's okay. They have to be educational, not just stories. Every story has something to tell.
Mix.